I can't do this anymore. How am I supposed to live here? Caitlin. She had always lived a life of ease. One where money was no object. She never had to worry about paying bills or the price of a cup of coffee. Designer clothes, she had more than she could wear. Dining out at fancy restaurants, a regular habit. A 5-star dorm at college. Her parents spared no expense. Life was simple and luxurious, and she took it all for granted. But all this changed after just 1 month at college. How would you like to make the payment? Just put it on the card. I'm sorry, miss, your card has been declined. What? That can't be right. Turns out, her dad cut off all her allowance. Dad, how could you just do that? You know how embarrassing that was? Everyone at BI Balenciaga was staring at me. Katie, you'll survive without your Balenciaga heels. It's time you learn the value of money. What? No. What are you going to do now? What else? He wants to teach me a lesson? No. I'll show him. I don't need him. You watch. He'll come begging to me with an apology. And where are you gonna get the money? It can't be that hard. At first, Caitlin didn't think much of it. She assumed she could easily manage. Like a part-time job at the college library. How hard could it be? But she quickly learned the harsh reality of life without a constant flow of money. Her paycheck from the library was barely enough to cover a week's worth of food, let alone the luxurious lifestyle she had grown accustomed to. The university dorm, with its lavish amenities and private chef, suddenly felt like a distant memory. Determined to prove her independence and show her parents that she could survive on her own, Caitlin made the bold decision to move out of the VIP dorm. She found a rundown apartment a little further away from campus, one that seemed affordable for a college student. It was nothing like the plush living arrangements she had before, but Caitlin was determined. She would show her parents she didn't need their money. But the apartment she found was a far cry from the luxurious suite she had at home. She could hardly believe this was now her home. Caitlin discovered something odd in the room the day she first went to visit. A dusty old desk covered in yellow paper, a quill and ink bottle sat on the desk, as if it had been left behind by someone long ago. Is this your desk? No, it's been here since I bought the property. Never got around to getting rid of it. Just left it as it was. You're welcome to use it if you want. Use someone else's left-behind trash? No, thank you. Obviously, the landlord hadn't ever lived here. Who could? But Caitlin found herself in the very next day. This place stinks. Sitting down on the flimsy mattress she could now afford, Caitlin stared at the only piece of furniture she had. The old quill that sat patiently in the ink bottle. She picked it up and dipped the tip into the ink, thinking it would be fun to try writing her name on the dusty paper. The scratch of the quill on the page felt oddly soothing, like a moment of control in an otherwise chaotic new life. Caitlin. But as soon as she finished writing her name, something felt off. What was that? A chill ran down her spine, and for the briefest moment, she felt like someone was watching her. But that night, things started to change. Caitlin couldn't sleep that night. She couldn't sleep for the next few nights. It wasn't the new apartment. It wasn't even the chaos of moving out of the VIP dorm. It was something else. It was something else. What the hell? I'm imagining things. I need sleep. At first, it was just small things. A dream here, a restless night there. Nothing that really stood out. Caitlin woke up with a gasp, her heart hammering in her chest. Her sheets were soaked with sweat. She sat up in her bed, breathing heavily, but there was no water. No sinking sensation, just the quiet hum of the apartment around her. It was just a dream, just a stupid nightmare. The next few nights, the dreams changed, became darker. One night, she woke to find a shadowy figure standing in the corner of her room. Its form, tall, impossibly tall, its face obscured in the darkness. Caitlin couldn't move, couldn't scream. Her entire body felt paralyzed as if she were trapped inside her own skin. Her eyes locked with the figures, but as soon as she blinked, it vanished. Gone. No trace. I keep seeing this strange tall man in my dreams, and I don't know why, but it always feels like someone is in my room. You're stressed, Caitlin. It's probably just your mind playing tricks on you. That place is worse than a rundown dumpster. I don't even know how you're staying there. Well, there's that, but moving somewhere new and your mind's bound to react. Take a break and go home for the weekend. Just get out of this place for a couple days. But Caitlin knew this wasn't normal. This wasn't stress or an overactive imagination. She had gone to so many strange places before, but nothing like this. Nothing that made her feel hunted. And the whispers started after that. At first they were soft, barely noticeable, just the faintest murmur from the corners of the room. She ignored it. Then it started to get louder. They were speaking in a language she didn't understand. Dude, wake up. Professor Gilmore is gonna call you out. Yeah, I'm up. Are you okay? You look miserable. It's nothing, I'm fine. But the truth was, it had been weeks now. It was late one night. Things took a turn for the worse. Caitlin had stayed up far too late, studying for an exam she wasn't sure she even cared about anymore. Her eyes were bloodshot, her mind a fog of exhaustion. When she heard a creak from the hallway, her heart stilled. It wasn't the first time she'd heard strange noises, footsteps, creaking floorboards, the building settling. But there was no one ever there. But tonight, it felt different. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. She grabbed the nearest object, a lamp, and crept toward the door. Her breath came in shallow gasps as she stepped into the hallway. The old wooden floors groaned beneath her feet. Every step felt too loud, too dangerous. There, standing at the end of the hall, was that same tall figure. The shape was indistinct. It was a human. A man, or at least it seemed like one. Caitlin's heart pounded in her chest as she stood frozen in place. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, it just stood there. Who are you? What do you want from me? Show yourself. The next morning, her mother couldn't reach her. Panicked, she showed up at Caitlin's apartment. What she found horrified her. Caitlin was lying on the floor, pale and unconscious. Without hesitation, her mother rushed her to the hospital. The doctors chalked it up to a panic attack. A breakdown from the stress of adjusting to her new life. When Caitlin woke up hours later, she looked completely hazed. Katie, thank goodness you're all right. What happened to you? Mom? Caitlin looked down at her stomach. But to her surprise, there was no wound, no injury, no blood. There was something in my apartment. He stabbed me. I was bleeding. What? How can that be? The doctor said you're fine. No, Mom, I swear. I don't know what's going on. Sweetheart, you must have been dreaming. Sleepwalking, perhaps. Caitlin didn't bother arguing. She knew no one would believe her. But something was happening. Something she couldn't explain. Her mother, still worried about her health, insisted Caitlin return home with her to recover. Reluctantly, Caitlin agreed. As she packed her things, her eyes fell on the desk. and her breath caught in her throat. The quill that had once been just a curiosity now looked different. It was stained with blood. The thought made her skin crawl. Could the quill have something to do with what had happened to her? Desperate for answers, Caitlin returned to the landlord, hoping he knew more about the history of the house. When she asked, he seemed reluctant to speak. But he finally divulged that he had bought the property at an auction. The house had been vacant for years, and the previous owners had left without any explanation. Caitlin didn't stop there. Digging deeper, she found private records of the so-called Sebastian Wells, who lived there. But without government access, she couldn't look through the details of the case. Caitlin thought all hope was lost until she found out the officer who was in charge of the case, Officer Jack Hansen, now retired, living on his own in Connecticut. I have to meet him. Caitlin arrived at a secluded house in Connecticut. The door creaked open. Officer Jack Hansen, now an old man. What do you want? I need to know about Sebastian Wells. He started to shut the door, but Caitlin pulled out the quill. Please, I found this in my apartment. Jack froze, his face darkening. Inside, Caitlin placed the quill on his table. He eyed it like a cursed relic. Where did you get this? It was left behind. I wrote my name with it, and now things are happening. Shadows, a man. I think he stabbed me, but there was no wound. Jack exhaled sharply. Sebastian Wells didn't just live there. He died there. And if you have that quill, you've awakened something you can't undo. Sebastian Wells, a successful author. He had been known for writing chilling novels about serial killers and criminals. Stories that seemed too real, too terrifying. In a way, it was all the more real. Sebastian Wells would travel through the states, searching for criminals to interview, to document their past, their thoughts, their unusual mindset. But over time, his writing became darker, more twisted. Sebastian didn't just want to understand the mind of a killer. He wanted to truly grasp what it was like to be both the hunter and the hunted. And this obsession of his led him to do the unthinkable. He started kidnapping women, recreating the horrific scenes from his books, torturing them, using their pain to fuel his writing. His books became even more successful. They weren't fiction anymore. They were real. But one night, the authorities discovered the truth. man was found dead in his own home. And his gruesome secret exposed. His books, once lauded for their brilliance, was revealed as the confessions of a monster. The house was abandoned soon after, and the quill was left behind. Caitlin listened in stunned silence, her mind reeling from the horrors of the story. She stared at the quill. So his books, they weren't fiction? Every word was real. That house holds more than memories. It holds his crimes. I shouldn't have taken this. What's done is done. Do you think he still lingers? I wouldn't go back to that house. Returning home, shaken and haunted, she opened the old piece of paper where she had written her name all those weeks ago. The ink had dried, but there was something she hadn't noticed before.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.